Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Co-Racing League for the second race of the season here at the Hungarian. My name is ILT Indigo, and for the first time in a long time, joined alongside me is Mr. Scotty Freefall.
Jamie, we are back together, mate, and what an occasion it is for Season 10, of course. Unfortunately, I missed last week due to some personal ill issues, but we are back. The dream team, my friend, and it's the Hungarian round 2 of this season. I am not just pumped up for this race, I'm pumped to be sitting beside you, pal.
Yeah, me too, mate. I'm looking forward to Tier 3 as well, as I think it was formerly known as Tier 4 back then, but obviously we've got 4 tiers now, and realistically, which happened yesterday night, I believe, at the Imola Grand Prix, where we saw some interesting things there, and not to mention about the lap 63 incident, where we saw someone taking each other out, but hopefully that don't happen here tonight, and we were in Jeddah last time out too, which proved to be an incredible race, it's always been, and last time at Jeddah too, I commentated with you in Tier 1, and that was a very good race too.
Oh, certainly. Jeddah, of course, saw the season opening across all 4 tiers last Monday and first day, and we saw some brilliant action, not just here in Tier 3, but across all of them grids. Tier 3, though, had a brilliant race. KXI taking that win, of course, ahead of Toves and Real DC, but it was all down to 2 things. Staban, I believe, was right up there with a 3-second penalty, and then Not Jack, LOI Not Jack. My heart's still broken for him, Jamie. That last corner spin in DNF, it literally plucked the win away from him at the last hurdle.
Oh yeah, it did. I felt for him too, because he was fighting very hard on all the tyres, but I thought he'd do it, you know, but this man on board with KXI just took it away from him in the final corner on the last lap. Got the thought way too early, or the tyres in general just couldn't hold on, unfortunately, and therefore hit the wall. And Jack, I don't think he's not here tonight, so we won't be seeing him. He has made an appearance in Tier 1, I think it was 2 seasons ago. He raced at the French GP and the Monaco GP, but Curly says that this is Rapid's making his debut, Rapid F1, so I can't wait to see what he does in the Alpine. We've got KXI reaching the first corner then as we head down into second gear, upshifted to third to reduce wheel spin. Second DRS zone, I think there's 1 detection point for 2 DRS zones here as we head through turn number 2 then, as we flick it in now, carrying a lot of speed through here, short shifted to minimise the wheel spin as we head through the flat out turn 3 corner where we saw, I think Marcus Ericsson hit the wall. Indy Jesus is out of this qualifying session. 27.3 as he slightly misses the apex into this fast left-handed, now goes this right-handed. You don't want to touch that inside curb because it will spin you out, and we head into the chicane then where we saw Rosberg and Hamilton make contact through here in 2015, but KXI misses the first part, compromised into the next part as we head through these sequence of corners, left right sequence of corners. Not much elevation change through here, and we head into this right-hander then, but KXI doesn't seem to hook it up as he seems to be struggling, as he seems to be out-braking himself and going offline in some places, so that's his desperate to improve on there for KXI as we head through turn number 13, I believe this is now, holding it in third gear, the back of the throttle once you exit the corner. This is where Alex Albon spun and crashed, I think, back in 2019, and KXI make his way out the final corner. Let's see what lap time this is going to be for him, but this is not going to be the best lap for him, as he did make mistakes here and there, and Mazzel's replaced him, then his Red Bull teammate goes even quicker by 9/10.
Yeah, already down with a 16 flat. Now going into this Grand Prix, Jamie, I had them paid maybe about a 15.7 for pole. That's maybe me being a little bit unoptimistic, and maybe .03.10, of course. P2 from last week has backed out of this lap, but was matching KXI through that first sector. But Leon with the 16 flat, putting the banker down for these drivers on the first open runs. DC with a 16.279. And I'm going to jump on board now, I believe, with Aizen, who's rounding the final corner. Aizen, a driver that showed a bit of pace in Tier 4 last season. A 16.952, Jamie, his first lap of the evening for the Czech driver. And definitely one that could be up in the mix, not just tonight, but over the course of this season.
Yeah, interesting driver is Azer because I know he's got potential pace. I've seen it myself as well when I've commentated over him when he was a reserve driver in the Ferrari, I think back in Tier 4 as it was. It gets confusing because we are missing a tier, so apologies if I do mix the tiers up. And King Panda, I know who was in Tier 4 last season. He was fighting for a championship, but his championship hopes were slowly fading away after making a few mistakes now and then. And I remember his teammate Verona Flash, they both had the potential last season, but his teammate got involved in some incidents in qualifying disqualifications, not bans, and therefore started the back and didn't get the results they needed. Mark Wilson is up into P4. I believe, who was he was fighting with last season? Was it him versus Nacho?
It was Nacho, yeah.
Yeah, indeed, he's in P4.
Yeah, Mark up in P4. I can give you a little bit of on info that he originally came into this season on medium TC, decided he's not quite ready to make that change full time, so has reverted back under total permission of the admins and the pace test regulations that we put in to go back to full TC. So definitely one to consider right up in the mix this evening, and it will be nice to see that battle of himself and Nacho carrying out again this season. Perhaps 14,000 separating them on these early bankers, Jamie. Rapid F1 though, the man you shouted out on behalf of Collie, I've driven with this man before, and I do know he has got quite a little bit of pace in his locker, and I do believe it was actually at Hungary I raced him before, where again a bit of pace, purple sector 2 there from what I've seen. Of course we all know that's not 100%, but up to the line then. Rapid's first ever lap in CRL is 16.5, puts him in that sort of bracket with Nacho and Mark Wilson at the early stages here, Jamie.
And that's a great lap time, especially your debut as well. But now he needs to get out of the way for the man in the Alfa Romeo who's about to start his first flying lap. He gets a decent slipstream as he makes his way down into turn 2. Stevan has shown some glimpses of pace, like you said, but inconsistency with rear locking as well, which caused the tyres to overheat and slide all over the place, and making contact with other people too. It's a 27.4 in the first sector. It was ILT Crack, I think, his own ILT Carpaccio, who made contact with, I think, into Jeddah. But as we head now into these slow speed corners we go, very easy to mess up, especially on that one, because he almost lost the rear end, but collected the car really well as we make our way now in this middle sector. Very technical indeed, very easy to lose the rear end of the car. Now we flick it into this right hander. Will it be a lift off? Yes it will. I don't think it is. Slightly flat out. It's a 54.4 in the middle sector for the Alfa Romeo driver, representing ILT, of course, the owner of ILT, as we head into turn 13. These slow speed corners can catch you out a lot because the tyres quite hot at this stage, after especially when you flick it in left right all the time, so you be very careful on traction as we make our way out of the final corner. It's going to be a 16.2 and he puts his Alfa Romeo in P3, and I really hope for Stevan's sake, there's an Alpine in the background who's just gone off the track there. I'm not quite sure who that was. I don't think it was who was it, Rapid, because he's in the pit lane, so it must be his teammate King Panda who's had a moment out of the final corner.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that. Maybe just trying to get out of the way or slipping up. He has got the DRS, non-active, so maybe just a little mistake starting his lap. A brilliant lap though from Stevan there. Again, a driver like a few we've got on this grid. Not Jack, of course, not here tonight. Another one of them. Really, really good pace and the credentials to race right at the top of the CRL pyramid. But while that was happening, Tobes, he was P2 last week, he's P2 as it stands, a 16.060, 18 thousandths of ex-Leon 1, who originally raced in Tier 4 last season, of course, made the jump up to Tier 3, struggled a bit at times with some of the drivers, of course, in this grid, but he's definitely putting a mark down. And an old friend of yours, or a young friend of yours, I think we should maybe say here, Jamie, Bunny's going in P8 for the Williams. I'm on board then with Nanda 25. And a fun fact about Nanda, and I hope I am correct, he is the league's only current American driver, currently coming through to the end of the second sector, around that long right-hander, of turn number 11. 12, 13 and 14 all that remain, and it is a really tricky section, Jamie. Not just a section, of course, so the whole track can be tricky. Finding that balance in the setup, you need downforce, but when your prime overtaking spot is into turn 1 in the race, you need a little bit of straight line speed here. But what can Captain America do on his first flying lap? It's a 16.199, right up at the business end to start things off.
Great lap time from Nanda indeed. I believe he took part in the realistic event too. I think KXI has a better lap time to go P2, P5. So he was in the 17s, but his second run, that is much better. And he set the exact same lap time, you know, as Steve Van. That's how mighty close it is around this 4.3 km track. And I think DC's moved up the order into P6 in the Mercedes as well. We've got a Red Bull coming towards the line. That is Leon, who raises the benchmark once again, raises the bar with a 50.9, the first driver in the 50s too. So that is incredible stuff there from Leon. Dragon on speed in the Ferrari goes into P6. Quite a lot of 60.2s, you know. So I'm really impressed with the admins and people who organise this league to find some drivers who are matching in pace. It's so hard to do that, especially with multiple tiers as well. All the hard work, all the pace tests you have to do, and a track like this as well. It's incredible to have those fine margins around here, especially with two drivers at the exact same lap time. But Steve, I did it first. Mark Wilson is currently in P8, and Danielle is in the chat representing her man in P8 so far, and he was P2 in the championship, I believe. I think Nacho bettered him into tier 5, I believe it was last season. Nacho's on a lap time, a few hundreds up in the first sector. Is the Williams driver now coming through turn 6? Want to stay off that curb because it will spin you out, and it reminds me of another curb as well. I can't actually remember now what track. Well, it's that, I think it's Spain, or was Spain, at turn number 13, I believe it is, where that right-hander, the slow right-hander, when you touch the inside curb, you just spin out, so you don't want to be doing that. But Nacho threading the needle in this middle sector into 6th gear, down into 5th momentarily, back up into 6th now, full throttle. He's almost 2/10 up in this middle sector. Those 2/10 will put him into P8 unless he can find a bit more time in this last sector. But we've got a Red Bull, that's a McLaren ahead of us, who might be slowing him down. Could it be Mark Wilson? It is, because Nada's in the pit lane, so turbulent air will affect him, but hopefully not too much, as Nacho makes his way out the final corner. Let's see what the Dutchman could set. He goes P8 with a 16.3.
16.3, only enough for P8, but like you were saying there, I mean, I maybe took my horn a little bit here, but these grids this season, particularly Tier 2 and Tier 3, where it is that middle pack of the community, they've been very, very tight all round, and I'm proud of what we've managed to achieve here so far this season. Jay Hartnell, though, will be proud with that lap of 16.336, sees the veteran of the community, not just here in Cohen, but in League Racing a whole, go in P8, as we have a retirement on track in the form of CRL Nacho. That is just down at turn, I believe it is actually turn number, it is 2, I wasn't sure if it was 2 or 3 there, Jamie. You've got me best on that, and it seems to have maybe just caught that inside cord or run a little bit wide. Answers on a postcard, but our second retirement, of course. Indian Jesus in the Aston Martin, retiring first in this qualifying session. You probably already guessed it, folks, but that was, of course, down to a qualifying ban received last week. Most of the first runs and second runs now complete, Jamie. 5 minutes on the clock. This is where we get to the business end.
It is indeed, and talk about indeed. Steve Van has invalidated his lap time. I don't know where he's done that, but unfortunately he's ruined it, and there's his Alfa Romeo teammate as well, just behind him, so I wonder what those two are doing. Maybe they'll go back in the pit lane with each other, because the best thing around this track, because it's such a short track, I can't even get my words out there, it's easy to do about 4 runs, the maximum you can do, even if you do a validate, whereas like Belgium, Singapore, Abu Dhabi, quite a long track, so you don't get that many runs even if you do make mistakes. But Bunnies is heading around turn number 4. I think, yes he is, turn number 6 I think it is, turn 7 and turn 8 in this chicane right here. But good evening everybody in the chat. Welcome George Hargreaves, welcome Danielle. I didn't realise there was someone in the world that could speak so quickly like Scott until I listened to Indigo not take a breath while commentating. Impressive. Yeah, Danielle, I'm from tier 1, commentated plenty of leagues, and I've had to speak fast in the past, even though I do stutter a little bit, but I try my best. Buddy's a bit of snap of a mistake without a turn number 12 there, now heading to turn 13. Looks like he's hesitant on the steering wheel there, so he heads back off into the pit lane. I'm not quite sure if he was a lap time or not, but I do appreciate a lot of people watching tonight, because I know tier 2 and tier 3 are the main standouts for me. I admit I do enjoy commentating tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, whatever I'm putting. I think, in my opinion, it's much better than tier 1 overall. I don't know why, it's just something about tier 2 and tier 3 where names like all of these drivers I've known for years and years, and they used to be, oh, Nanda gets on the curb and lost the back end, but fortunately saves the car. That's at turn number 6 I believe that was, so just skating across that yellow curb there, and thankfully he saved it.
Just about held it, did Nanda in P4. He had a little moment out of turn 1 as well, so surprised he even made that little mistake on the slow lap. But just to carry on what you're saying, I do totally agree. The thing about Tier 2 and Tier 3 is the Tier 1 there's always going to be the big names, and Tier 4 there's always going to be a few guys at the bottom that are just trying to find their feet. Whereas you get the grid like this, now I'm looking at 20 names of drivers, and I know the vast majority of them pretty well, quite a few of them on a very personal level as well. And I could not pick who's going to come first and who's going to come 20th. I could probably do this about 500 times and still not get the order even remotely close. There's so much up in the air every race. Anything could happen. Anybody can win. And that title is well and truly up in the air. Speaking up in the air, though, Tobes' lap time are falling faster than an anvil without a parachute. He's 2.5 tenths up coming to the end of the second sector. And just with one corner to go, can the flying Ferrari, had a little Jamie moment there, sorry pal, just up to the line of 15.7. Now that's what I was expecting pole time to get down to, and I thought maybe I was being optimistic, maybe being mystic, you could say. But Tobes putting that time in. KXI following up with a 15.904. Last week's P1 and P2 swapped around at the qualifying stage, but with plenty of cars on a lap here, Jamie. Anything could happen, and I couldn't think of two better people to commentate it. Like you're saying, the fastest speakers in the whole of CRL, we are the one and true only M&Ms of this league, I think you could say.
Eminem, but more like an Ed Sheeran when he was younger, when he used to stutter. then he listened to Eminem. Then there's Mark Wilson, who's just coming to P8 with a 16.2. So join the 16.2 club. There's 3 of them now, with Stevan and Dragon of Speed. But KXI, what a phenomenal performance. I don't think, if I remember correctly, he won a race last season, did KXI. He was on the podium quite a few times, but unfortunately just going to get to the top spot. Then, at the beginning of the season, won the opening Grand Prix with a great strategy, overtook, who was it? It was Jack at the final corner. Then obviously Jack had his spin, but what could have happened if Jack didn't spin? Could he have got the DRS? Bearing in mind though, he was quite low on battery, so I think KXI might have outdragged him on the line there. But King Panda, another driver who has shown some strong performances, I think last season too. He won quite a few races, but he's been quite unlucky in some races with strategy calls, also being mixed up in contact as well. And overall, he's just had some pure bad luck. So I really hope this season he can have a change and just be up there, because I know he's got the pace. He's showing it with his teammate, I think it was Ron Flashback then, but obviously is not here tonight, and obviously King Panda now is an Alpine. Back in the pit lane we go. Do you know what? I don't know how much time we got left in qualifying. 47 seconds left to go in qualifying. So, the majority of drivers out there, except KXI, who's back in the pit lane, so probably did his run a bit earlier in comparison to everybody else, but I don't know who to keep an eye on. We've got Aston Martin coming towards the line now, just coming to P16. That's Polishman with a 16.8 then. So, we've got a Red Bull. That is Leon, who's just started his final flying lap. I'm on board with Dragon of Speed here, coming through turn number 3 now. Looks like he lost the back of the car coming out of turn 1. Let's see what he does in the first sector. He is down, but I don't know how much, because the view counter has just showed 4700s down in the first sector. Is the German driver would dearly love to join his German compatriot up there in P1 as we come through these slow speed corners. In the chicane we go. Now coming through turn number 8, flick it in the left hander, same with the right as well. Quick change of direction through here, holds it in 4th gear, does an upshift to 5th, takes a wider entry into turn 10. Now flick it in turn 11, slight lift off there. Now in this little sector, what's he going to do? 800s up in this little sector. So despite a little bit of an error, he still finds some time in that last set, in that middle sector, because there's more times we found. Tobes, his teammate, has gone quicker with a 50.7. What a blistering lap time from the Ferrari driver. Now his teammate, what can he do in the second Ferrari? Coming around the final corner now. Can he match his teammate? He's about to make his way towards the line. It's a 50.9, and he goes into P3 then, just behind KXI. What's DC doing? What's Leon doing? 1 tenth down is Leon in the middle sector, so I don't think he can improve in this last sector. DC's just crossed the line to go P4 with a 50.9. Here comes Leon in the Red Bull, stays in P5 with a 50.9. Bloody hell, look at that, 4 drivers with a 50.9. That's incredible.
Incredibly tight. Mark Wilson then coming around at the final couple of corners on a flying run here. His teammate Nanda, currently in P7, unfortunately missed out on the line by about 2 seconds, so did not get a last run. And Mark Wilson run to the 15.9s. into P3 as well. That makes, I believe, 5 drivers into the 15.9s here, Jamie. Steban is on a slow lap, will not improve, easing into the pits, and that is your final qualifying results. And can I just say, Ferrari boys, you're welcome for the setup. Not taking any credit off them, you know, Jamie, but I think it done alright.
57
for Toves.
15.7's a really decent lap times on pole as well, and that is just mighty close between second and to sixth. If I put the details on the gap to leader, or gap between themselves if I can find it, that is just incredible to be in fine margins. And yeah, best lap times, DC did his best lap on 2 sets of softs, in fact 2 lap old softs. Mark Wilson did 3 laps on his set of soft compound tyres then, and that's a great lap to be doing, especially with 3 lap old tyres. Mark Wilson in P3, there it is then, Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren top 3. Dragon on speed in P4 ahead of DC in P5. Can he claim another podium of the season? Leon in P6 there for Red Bull. Steve on P7. Nanda in the McLaren in P8. Jay Hart now 9th ahead of Rapid F1. By the way, great debut for Rapid F1 to be in 10th place ahead of the Williams man who won the championship in Tier 5. 11th place is Nacho. 12th for King Panda. Aizen in P13 is the Czech. Glowstick in 14th, the Scotsman. Claire PR the Brit in 15th. Mazzles, the Danishman, is 16th ahead of the Canadian of Bunnies. Polishman, the Polishman in 18th, Sophia the Frenchman in 19th, and Indian Jesus, the German Indian, who has a set lap time due to qualifying ban, will start down in last place.
I almost choked there when you start laughing at Polish man, the Polish man. But no, it's been a brilliant qualifying session. Tobes 1.161 clear, and in the gap in the next 5 so very tight. And around a circuit like this, where overtaking is at a premium, where strategy can be so, there is a little bit of variety, and it's of course down to maybe what tyres the drivers have picked in their allocation, and if they've saved any from qualifying. We'll wait and see in that front. Of course, Jamie, unfortunately don't have that info, but it could be a very mixed race on strategy. It's a little bit grey looking as well, so we can never discount the chance of rain making an appearance, and of course the safety cars and virtual safety cars. We do of course have 35 laps ahead of us, Jamie, and I did say, you know, overtaking can be at a premium, but with a grid so tight as this, I think we might see a few moves here, there, and a little bit everywhere.
I agree with you as well. We never know. Moves could be done in the second sector where we don't really see overtaking happen. I think Kimi Raikkonen tried it on Felipe Nasser down at turn 13, and Paul Di Resta versus Pastor Maldonado as well down at turn 13. The same place where Max Verstappen locked up and broke his suspension as well in the 2020 Hungarian Grand Prix on the reconnaissance lap heading towards the grid. Managed to fix it as well in a short period of time. So we'll see what happens here tonight, and let's hope and pray for a decent race. I heard that there's going to be rain according to Glowstick in the chat then, so let's see if that spices things up. So we're just waiting for everybody to adjust their setups and tyre strategies. Meanwhile, Glowstick, Topher, Curly, Rapid F1, good evening to you, mate. Congrats on P10. Danielle, good evening to you. Glowstick, Mighty Atom, Matt, George Hargreaves, Reservoir, and Topher, good evening to you all. The Mighty Atom, hello mate, how are you doing? Let's go, Mark. Mark is currently in a good position, so can he continue where he left off? I remember him at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. How come he didn't turn up? Was it due to internet connection issues?
I think it was actually, yeah, there was, I'm trying to think now. I can definitely find that info out. There was something sort of just out of control, unfortunately, didn't allow him to make it to the grid. But round 2 of the season, first appearance, P3 in qualifying. It's definitely a statement of intent, you could say here, Jamie. I do believe we have a formation lap once again this season. I know as a commentator I'm glad to have that back. I can imagine you are. And, well, looking at the tyre strategies, I think the rain is coming fairly soon here, Jamie.
It is, because if it wasn't, I think the hard compound tyres would be used. But as you can see, soft compound tyres being used. I think some people might have done multiple runs on those set of softs to save some during the race. Maybe it could rain up in the middle and get dry towards the end. Who knows? But this is going to be pivotal for this race then. Who is on the right tyres at the right time? How early or how late will the rain impact the circuit? Because I think I remember in Tier 1 a few seasons ago where the rain impacted the circuit, but it took a long time to dry to get wet enough for the inters to be used. So we'll see then. Oh, there's a spinner in the background there. Is that Leon on the medium compound tyres just going for a spin? I think I remember Bompierre and Walter making contact there as some drivers taking avoiding action out of turn number 3 as Leon gets back on the track safely, getting the extra bit of tyre temperature by spinning. But hopefully he can rejoin to P6 without... Bonnie's and Mazel's about to say been disqualified for Leon, but actually those two have been disqualified then, so their medium compound tyres will not be warmed up for the opening phase. And I know Bunny's struggled at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as he... the rain! Did you see that? A flash of rain?
I did see that. I was just flicking through the grid just to see who was doing what, having maybe a little look at fuel as well, and as I switched cameras, it just for an instant, yes it is, it's raining just around about turn 9, the little faintest droplets of rain here, Jamie. So of course the forecast accuracy for the drivers, it's set to approximate. They get a rough idea of when it's coming, but it's not perfect. It's a bit like any kind of weather prediction, Jamie. It's not going to be 100%, and maybe some of the engineers built into the game have told some of the drivers it's coming a little bit late. This could be big for the softs. Of course, it's going to be easier to get heat into the soft tyres compared to the mediums. There's going to be just more mechanical grip through those soft tyres, of course. But it all depends as well. How quick is this rain going to fall? Because we've seen it before, Jamie, the lightest of light spits, and it just doesn't seem to form. But already, by the time we're getting back to the grid, it's definitely starting to come down a little bit heavier than you'd like starting on the dry compound tyres. This could be a very interesting start to the race, and one man that's got a very interesting start is Dragon on Speed, angled all the way to the left in that pit box. But I'll hand it back to you, Jamie, because it's about to be race start.
And we are underway for round 2 of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Let's see who gets a better start off the line. You can see Dragon on Speed already on the right hand side. He might take 2 for 1 here. He got a decent launch. Might take on Mark Wilson, who's on the same tyres as we head 3 abreast. Mark Wilson lays the brakes. He goes up the inside, of Tobes into turn 1. So around the outside he went and maintained his position. Dragon on Speed, I thought he had the inside line, better line going into turn 1. Actually didn't gain up any positions whatsoever, but the rain is impacting the circuit. Change position going on the midfield there. We've got Jay Hartnell and Nanda fights. I think Nanda's lost the place towards Jay Hartnell now as he drops into 9th place. We go, but KXI, I think he's quite there's a timing graphic glitch. I thought he was alongside him, but he's not. He stays where he is for the time being. Glow sticks ahead of Aizen there as he goes off the track, does the hash driver, so picking up understeer or got damage, I'm not quite sure. But Nanda and Jay Hartnell fighting once again. Actually there's a Haas who's gone for a spin, almost spun. McLaren's off the track. That's Nanda who went off the track completely at turn 7 and turn 8. Rapids into P11. He's actually dropped 1 place as he started 10th place, but the biggest loser now is currently Nanda. Looks like there's an Alfa Romeo who's struggling, and here comes Nacho up the inside into turn number 12. We go side by side, but I think Nacho has this covered, and now he's under threat from the Alpine, but it only looks like it's raining in certain parts of the track, not in sector 3. Now it is, and here it is then. You can see King Panda around the outside. Jay Hartnell's in the pit lane to change his wing because he's got no end plate.
I wonder if he's just going to gamble, put on these intermediates and try it out, see how it goes, and just maybe hope that the rain comes back to get things into it. But the race start, for the most part, it must be said, very, very clean, particularly in the mid-pack. A little bit of jockeying for position. Of course, we expect that on lap 1, turn 2, turn 3. But aside from maybe the odd little incident, the man most at risk, or most hampered, you could say, by that, of course, being Ananda. It looked to be a fairly clean start. Unfortunate for Jay Hartnell, of course, getting the wing damage going onto the medium. So maybe this rain not going to come as fast or as hard as we thought. Rapid F1 then, trying to have a little look on his teammate King 5 Panda into turn number 4. For those that know the Jamie Robertson corner, an old driver in the Tier 2 days, having an infamous moment through there, almost choking himself out on a bit of chewing gum. It's a very, very niche bit of CRL history, but it does exist nonetheless. But Jamie, like you said, this rain only falling in certain parts of the track, but it does look like it's starting to get a little bit heavier. doesn't seem to have impacted the medium runners as hard as maybe we would have thought it could have, but definitely some gaps forming, however.
Yes, and some people outside the 1 second range of DRS already then, and it's crucial. You can see Rapid have a bit of a oversteering moment. Mark Wilson has set the fastest lap of the race as he continues to pursue Tobes in front. So DRS has been enabled then. He's dropped KXI by 2 seconds. So KXI is dropping back in the Red Bull. Rapid has overtaken King Panda. Now here comes Nando on the inside. Completely cuts the first corner. Makes contact too for good measure. Gets a massive amount of wheel spin too out of the corner and stays in P11 then. So that might be a warning for him. As Indian Jesus has made up 8 places already from starting last. And Claire PR is the first driver to gamble on the intermediate, so let's see if that works out for him or not. I don't think it's wet enough, you know, because I've been in these circumstances myself where it's been raining for a few laps and it's not wet enough for the inters, and it took a few laps to get settled in on as well on the rain. So the dry compound tyres will be the way to go at this stage of the Grand Prix. Unless the rain gets heavier and heavier, but it looks like dry is the way to go. Softs and mediums, and Mark Wilson continues to hunt down Toes for P1, and Dragon of Speed putting pressure on the Red Bull of KXI. Looks like he's struggling on his medium compound tyres. Got a bit deep now into turn 12. Third up ahead, we can see that battle fall between Mark Wilson and his teammate Nanda has overtaken King Panda. Up into 10th place he goes then in turn 13. And into the pit lane goes Tobes, so he believes that the intermediates are now to be used in this race, and also KXI is in the pit lane too. Let's see if that strategy pays dividends, as KXI has picked up a 5-second time penalty already.
It must be said, Cluppy out the back was catching a little bit to the pack. In fact, catching about a second and a half there over the course of the second part of the lap. Coming through the chicane as well, I did notice on some of the TV pods, a little bit of the droplets on the screen kind of indicates that it's getting a little bit damper. Steban almost having a moment through turn 3 as DC goes around about the outside of Dragon into turn 3. A brilliant battle between those two. A little bit of chopping and changes in the mid-pack though. Yellow flags somewhere. I think that is Sofian and King Pai Panda.
Polish man's gone off the track at turn number 4, just had a massive tank slapper out of the corner, hit the wall too for good measure, but I think his front wing is still intact. He's in P15 for the time being. Indian Jesus from P20 to P9 in 4 laps. Polish man almost lost it as well, so he's definitely got no grip, as Topher in the chat puts in quotation marks, no grip whatsoever. But you can see Polish man really struggling when it's due to tyre temperature related, because these soft compound tyres still can get really hot as well in this 8th stage of the Grand Prix. The soft comp, Dragon of Speed there, having a bit of a moment coming out on turn number 12. Now he's got Stevan all over him too, so Stevan fighting all of the back of the German versus the Dutchman. But into the pit lane goes Mark Wilson, the real DC, Dragon of Speed, and Stevan Leon. Nacho have stayed out so far. They don't believe it's time for the wet compound tyres, although Stevan had a bit of a moment coming out the final corner.
I think it's very up for debate here whether the intermediates are ready. I'm seeing some of the drivers that were up the top of the pack, of course, catching those at the back. Now that might just be pace differential in the drivers, but again, a few drivers like Steban, like Leon, who are up the top part of this grid, of course, having a few little moments. We'll see, of course, has Tobes came out ahead or behind Mark Wilson. He's 1.6 seconds behind Mark Wilson. Of course, Mark Wilson did get released on those softs, so maybe just able to compensate a little bit with that, but doesn't seem to have lost or gained much in the way of time on the cars running out on the dries. However, that might stop the change in the next few laps. Probably the gap to keep an eye on, Mark Wilson to Polish man, if that starts to work its way down, which in the time I spoke that sentence, it's dropped by about 2/10, Jamie. I think the inters are now just ever so slightly the better tyre to go for. It still hasn't stopped these soft runners though from having a nice little battle, nice little look. They've kept it tidy at the front, it must be said. They're all within a second of each other, aside from Rapid, who just dipped out there briefly. And I think we could see a flurry of them into the pits. Steban is in, Leon is in, Nacho stays out on the softs. The rest of the top 6, aside from Indian Jesus, all piling in. So Nacho and Indian Jesus deciding it is still not time. Mazzles follows suit, as does Sofian, and I believe Polish man as well. Yes, he has. So still 6 cars opting to stay out on the dry compound tyres, and Jay Hartnell, who of course had that early pit stop as well. So this could be a really, really big indication. But look how close Mark Wilson is getting to the rear of Polish man. That time is coming down hand over fist.
Indeed it is then. So those guys who've just pitted, I think DC now is ahead of Stefan. They're going side by side into two. Stefan made slight contact there, almost locked the rear end of the car and spun it. But I think he's got ahead of Dragon of Speed, because Dragon of Speed was ahead, but it looks like the German is really struggling. You could just see the back of the car there stepped out as soon as he applied the throttle there. The German loves to run low downforce settles, but a trial like this, a wet track, is not going to be helpful for his rear tyres whatsoever then, so he might pay the consequences for that in this race. But the gap between Mark Wilson and Nacho, 14.4 then, so DRS, by the way, is still enabled. That gives an indication whether it is wet or dry enough, but in this middle sector here, I think it could be, I think we're definitely the crossover point, but I think Inters could be slightly better. But bear in mind that Mark Wilson is now ahead of Polish man, who's moved himself up into P6. So let's see what the top two do. Into the pit lane comes Nacho and Indian Jesus. Has he stayed out? Yes, he has then. So, the Indian German driver has stayed out there for the time being. Let's see if that's the right call to make as the track continues to get wetter. His teammate, however, is in the pit lane to get rid of those soft compound tyres, although he almost missed the pit lane, but thankfully stayed in with the white line. Bunnies, the Canadian driver, is in P2, has also opted to stay out too, as Polish man picks up a 5-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane. That's the second person who's done that. KXI did it. Currently down in 15th place is the Brit in the Red Bull there. Sofian is on the medium compound tyres as well. He's also stayed out in the AlphaTauri. And there's a safety car. This could really benefit the top three. They could go to the pit lane now without losing any time. This is an absolute dream. The lottery to stay out there. And I wonder, why has the safety car came out? Has anybody crashed in the wall and lost their wing?
I'm just having a flick
it's
through the field, and is it it is, yes. The Haas right down in P19, no front wing on that car, bringing out the safety car. Like you say, that's dream come true for Indian Jesus, for Bunnies and Sofian. 7.5 seconds the gap from Sofian to Mark Wilson. And just to add to his worries, he's got no wing, no downforce, no speed. And
I don't know what's happened to Nanda, but he's out of the Grand Prix. He's crashed under the safety car. I can't find his stricken car anywhere. Where is he? This McLaren goes slowly. He's left the session. Yeah. What's happened to him?
This is. I've seen this before. Now, this happened to our very own Nathan JB in the Realistic League, where it's a connection issue, but it seems that with whatever grand scheme Codemasters have put through, the game sometimes, when somebody disconnects from the server, from the lobby, their car automatically gets retired. We've seen it in the Realistic League once. This is the second occurrence I've seen it, so to me it seems as if it is it's a built-in thing to almost eliminate laggy and sort of netcodey cars, but it's a very, very weird one, it must be said. And speaking of Nathan JB, he was saying the safety car came out because of soft tyres. I've never seen that before, but you never know. They like to add things without telling us, and maybe that could be the case. But Indian Jesus, 8 laps, Jamie. Let's just talk about this very briefly. He's went from P20 to P1 with some brilliant driving and with a strategy masterclass.
What a legend indeed, Jesus. You know, the man's got some pace on his day, but sometimes it doesn't go his way whatsoever. And here he is at P1. Former Tier 1 driver himself is India Jesus. Now into P1. He gained 8 positions in 4 laps from P20 to P12. Stayed out there on the dry compound tyres. Has paid dividends now in P1. And he's on the fresher inters as well. That'll make a big difference now in this race towards the end of the Grand Prix. Bunnies in P10. Let's see who's lost and gained the most in this race. As you can see, India Jesus, P19 to P1. Mark Wilson has lost 1, Toes has lost 2, and Nacho's gained 3. Bunnies has gained 7, Sofian's gained 8, and quite unusual for Sofian as well to have a bad qualifying. And what have you seen, Scott?
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Polishman actually right now. It's an interesting strategy, it must be said, currently on the mediums off the track. So I don't know if this is maybe a conservation, knowing he's at the back, just conserve a lap of inters, or whether it's a genuine mistake with the pit crew. But one Aston Martin doing very well under these conditions. They're suffering a little bit maybe with a pit crew malfunction. KXI and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head who the other, I believe was it Nacho. 5-second penalties, of course, they have been eliminated. They are now served and done, and of course Club PR then, the only car with a penalty, Jamie, at this stage. He's got a drive through, and of course rules of the sport, he cannot serve this drive through until the first lap of green flag racing. He can of course follow the pit car, not the pit car, the safety car into the pit and serve it, but he can't serve it while we're under safety car, because that would effectively nullify that penalty. It could be a costly one for his race and really puts him in the position of needing another safety car. Polishman is going to come into the pits and does it very gingerly, just making sure he doesn't spin out and cause any more collateral damage. Careful not to get a penalty as well. I had it in my head for a split second. We've all been there, I think, coming into the pits on dry tyres in a wet session and ended up with 5 seconds on the clock, just for trying to be a little bit too racy with it. And yep, the green stripe intermediates coming on to the car. All the cars then on them, of course, a wide variety from 0 laps all the way up to 5 laps in the tyre life, although of course the tyres don't wear too much, the inters and the wets. They've got a little bit more life about them. You can do multiple laps in them and not really have the same drop-off as you would see with the softs, mediums or hards. However, there is a bit of degradation across the expected tyre life though, Jamie. We're just going to wait on Polishman catching up then. I believe we will do one more lap under safety car if my counting has been correct. And then it'll be back to green flag racing, hopefully in time for lap 11 of 35. Almost in time, just for the 1/3 way mark of this Grand Prix.
KXI, who started in P2 in the race, I think it was, he went for another pit stop serving his penalty. Now he's down into P15, so that's a lot of work there. Drive-through penalty has cost him dearly as KXI, and no, it's a 5-second time penalty, I believe it was. Yes, it was. Same with Nacho as well, but Nacho stayed out there on drier tyres in comparison to KXI. Went from it medium into to inter, so it's really cost KXI. And into the pit lane goes King Panda. So is this a scheduled pit stop? Is this going to be a change of full wing? Let's have a look. I don't think it's dry tyres. I don't think we'll see them again unless the rain stops, but let's see what's happened here for King Panda. It's another set of inters, it seems. Wow, that's interesting. And that was only about 2 laps old under the safety car too, so going for the freshest inters whilst dropping track position. That's going to be very interesting, because I know these inters, you were talking about how good their lifespan is, but in actually reality, they're not actually that great, to be honest with you, and they can do about, I think it'll be a two-stop race with an inters. We'll have another set of inters going on, because I think they can do about 15-16 laps before they start dropping off massively, so we'll see how the tyres fare out towards the end of the Grand Prix, because I know the wets can do a long distance, but in comparison to the inters, the softest tyre of all of them, not really that great, and we'll see how the tyres drop off towards the end, because I know India G's has got the freshest tyres out of all of them, and Toes in P3 there might go for another pit stop on the inters. And I've seen this scenario before where people have pitted quite late during near towards the end of the race, about 7 or 8 laps to go, and it was into conditions then, and they went for a pit stop. Okay, KXI's followed down the order for some reason. Has he spun? Yeah, he has. He's dropped into P19.
Yeah, looks like just dropped it through the chicane, maybe just taking slightly too much of that curb, or just a little bit too early on the throttle. Adding to his woes, of course, starting P2 down to P18. But Jamie, we're going to get back racing like I predicted for lap 11 of this Grand Prix. Mazel's having a similar incident to KXI, and that is, in fact, it's a bit worse than similar. It's into the wall and end plate damage for the Alpha Tauri around about the long right hander. So an early pit stop for him once again. But Jamie, back to green flag racing. Indian Jesus setting the pace and deciding when we go.
And I think he goes now, around the final he goes then. It's going to be a lap 11 out of 35. Indeed, Jesus, one either way. Bear in mind, a few laps ago, he was in last place after serving a qualifying ban, but now, can Mark Wilson stick on the back of that Aston Martin? Mazzles is in the pit lane. It's anybody close enough to make a lunge into turn. What about Rapid on the back of Nacho? I don't think he is, but further behind, I can see a few cars trying to go for a lunge, but they can't quite do it. The real DC is quite close to Tobes as well on the back of that Ferrari, but massive wheel spin there too. So let's see how good these drivers are on the inside. As you can see for yourselves, Indian Jesus has dropped Mark Wilson. The gap is 1.1 then, so it looks like Mark Wilson was hunting him down, but ever since after turn 1, Indian Jesus has pulled away then. So this is going to be a great race for the Aston Martin driver. If he can keep this pace, I know his consistency as well hasn't been that great throughout the past few races, but if he hooks it up, wins this race, it could be a massive confidence booster for Indian Jesus. But we've got 24 laps left to go in this race. Anything could happen. Another safety car could be applied, and also dry compound tyres could be back in the phase if it stops raining too. So, got an interesting battle here for P4 with DC, Stevan and Dragon on Speed. They've been quite close to each other ever since the start of the Grand Prix. The gap is now 2 seconds towards Indian Jesus and Mark Wilson then. So Indian Jesus absolutely flying at this stage of the Grand Prix as well, as we head down into turn 13. The Red Bull and Leon there looking down the inside of Dragon on Speed, but realises he's a bit too far back. Now there's Williams down the inside. That is Buddy's going for an optimistic move on Rapid then as they go side by side. As we head now into this final corner we go. Who's got the grip, the confidence, more speed to carry in this final corner? Buddy's going out wide there, understeering. Same with Glow Stick in the background too, who goes slightly wide for the final corner. Leon on the back then of the Ferrari. Will he go down the inside? Yes, he will. Late braking skills for the Red Bull driver. Will he make it out clearly? Further behind, Rapid versus Nacho. Leon wins that battle. And what about Rapid versus Nacho there as we head out of turn 1? Massive wheel spin there as they fight for traction. Into turn 2 we go. A bit of contact too into turn 2 between the Williams and the Ferrari on Dragon on Speed. Rapid's ahead, has the track position, went around the outside, lovely move. Leaves Nacho for dust now as he's fighting with his Williams teammate of Bunnies.
Yeah, Bunny's having a little moment coming out of 2 into 3. They are almost falling into the clutches of Sophia and Jay Hartnell. We're having a little ding-dong battle through those two corners side by side. KXI and King 5 Panda also getting a little bit mixy with it down near the back as Bunny's gets him on Nacho. I think Nacho having quite the big moment there, and a bit of chaos reigning through the field because of that. Jay Hartnell and Sophia almost making monumental contact. Glow Stick slips on through and Sophia losing a lot of time, and I believe has a bit of front left end plate damage on the Alpha Tauri at this stage of the Grand Prix. So I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but definitely some contact mixing things up. Bonizo leaving nobody for prisoner, gets around about the outside of Dragon in turn number 13. Next up on his list is Rapid. We've seen them battle it out already in this Grand Prix. KXI dispatching Azan as well through the final corner, and King 5 Panda keeping up that battle with KXI, trying to have a run down to turn number 1. He is going to burn a little bit of that ERS, using that extra straight line speed on the inside line, and going to take full advantage, climb that corner as his own. Nacho battling out with Glow Stick now. Glow Stick's been in a few battles over the course of the last few laps, and Polish Man just almost pushing these two right round the corner. Glow Stick now having to turn attack into defence as Nacho slips out of his grasp, and Polish Man says, I'm here, I'm ready, give me that P12 position. The Scotsman trying to go for the move on Nacho, losing out to Polish Man down into P13, and now he's got KXI who's looking very racy behind. Stevan swapping places with Real DC, Rapid swapping places with Leo, and kinda what we alluded to, Jamie, in qualifying, or at the end of qualifying, we could see some moves in some very, very unpredictable places, and we're certainly seeing that right now. Bunnies lines up another one, a little bit of a set, a little bit of contact, but both cars looking to make through it unscathed, and he is up into P7, Jamie. This mid-pack getting very raceless. We see Jay Hartnell, I believe it is. No, it's Dragon on Speed, losing it on the inside of turn 13, just taking too much of the curb, and the car going for a spin. Does very well though, and doesn't rejoin illegally or unsafely. But things heating up in the mid-pack, Jamie, certainly at this stage.
And Rapid's down the inside of DC into 1 there. Rapid and Bunnies are absolutely flying at this stage of the Grand Prix. And Rapid has disposed DC. Now it's Bunnies' turn. He goes alongside him into turn 1. They've been putting pressure on Tobes and Stevan has DC, but he's dropped down the order now, trying to fight underneath him into turn 2. But Bunnies has the outside line. He should have better grip, better traction there. And he does do. Stays ahead of Williams, the Mercedes driver, who goes slightly off the track momentarily out of turn number 3. But yeah, Rapid and Bunnies at this stage of the Grand Prix looking really comfortable in these wet conditions. Now Rapid looking like he's putting pressure on Stevan. I think he qualified P10. Yes, he did. but he's qualified P17. So in the wet conditions, they're really, really strong at this stage. And you can see there, the Alfa Romeo driver is sliding through the corners too for good measure. And it's a shame for Dragon on Speed there. Had a really great qualifying with his teammate too, but unfortunately, I did notice in this low speed corners he was sliding all over the show. Same with Stefan. You just riding on board with there. He is sliding all over the show in his middle sector. Glowstick looking like he's struggling for traction too. As KXI looking to make up ground after losing out to that 5-second time penalty. Leon's ahead of DC, overtakes him into 13, and here comes Jay Hart now as he powers past the Mercedes driver. So DC unfortunately is dropping back, and however, Indian Jesus has pulled out a 9.1 second gap. This is an absolute dream, and there's no way he can't win this race unless he makes mistakes. And here's Stefan under massive pressure. This could be a 3-wide moment because Buddies is all over the back of Rapid as we head down into turn 1 we go. Let's see what happens as Stefan has the inside line. Jay Hartnell down the inside. Stefan locking the rears up. Rapid trying to go around the outside. Can't quite do it. Stefan stays ahead, and now Rapid's fighting with Buddies. We head out turn 1 into turn 2 we go. Jay Hartnell versus Leon into turn 2. Oh, contact as Rapid has made contact with Stefan there, trying to go up the inside, but it's absolutely no room. And you know what, that's a shame to see, because I was looking forward to see what Rapid could do, but now he's fallen down into P13 with such great pace, but patience wasn't his virtue, and unfortunately paid the consequences for that one.
Yeah, unfortunate for Rapid as Dragon on Speed looks to have had another spin on turn 2. King 5 Panda gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. I think he made the move on KXI while the yellow flags were out, so who knows, that could be one for the stewards, or it could be one maybe served in the pits later. Nacho, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. And what is going on here with Polishman and DC? They are getting very, very racy. Cars are sliding through every one of these corners here, and Nacho really, really struggling, it looks to seem, on the traction now at this stage of the Grand Prix. It makes you wonder, maybe some of these drivers holding their cards to their chest in qualifying, having the car a little bit more attuned, the likes of Bunnies, the likes of Rapid, who are really excelling, or were excelling, it must be said, in these wetter conditions, Jamie. Maybe just having that little tweak to the setup, sacrificing a bit of qualifying, knowing that it could pay some dividends later on. Jay Hartnell having another run on Leon as Bunnies gets the move on Steban down the inside into turn number 1, although Steban is holding out and managing to out-traction the young Canadian. Bunnies going for the move down into turn 2. There's yellow flags for the back though. Jay Hartnell and Leon having a bit of a coming together, and safety car number 2 has been deployed on lap 16, Jamie.
Wow, incredible battle. Stefan and Bunnies going side by side, and as you said, a safety car has been deployed. Then I wonder if that's the same scenario. Yes, it is the same scenario, because an Alfa Romeo has lost his wing, and that is Jay Hartnell, who's fully lost his front wing. Same what happened to Claire PR, who's in P16 too. And the safety car once again. This is not what Indian Jesus needs. He was absolutely flying. I wasn't looking back ever since he took the lead after the pit lane, it must be said as well. So once again, the gap will be brought down. Indian Jesus will have to do it all over again. But what will happen this time around? Because I don't think they can take these tyres towards the end. You know, these Inters, they're not that great around. They are good, but not that great like the wet saw that can just last forever. That's the durability they have. So let's see if he goes into the pit lane, which he does do. And let's see if the rest follow. I don't think anybody will stay out there, because it's a massive risk, because you'll tumble down the order if you stay on all the tyres, and there's no point, because I think I remember Stefan doing that. And Eisen's got a 3-second drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. I remember one of the IRT drivers who stayed out during the safety car on all the tyres, just tumbled down the order, left, right and centre, fell from P1 down to P9 on the first lap. But here comes Bunnies, who actually goes around once more, and that could bites him back later in this race too, unless another safety car comes out, because fresher tyres is much better than track position. I know it sounds crazy, but it is. Trust me, I experienced it plenty of times, and I've seen people drop back dramatically too. As Mark Wilson then on a brand new set of Inters, I think everybody except Bunnies and KXI, who's decided to stay out there on all the tyres. While the safety car is out, Scotty, I will go to the toilet as I get the chance to.
No worries, I'm just going to, and he's a good friend of mine, he won't like me pointing this out. KXI, I saw what you just done. Now, for those of you, I don't think Jamie picked it up on the screen, but KXI, he stayed out, 9-lap old intermediate. himself alongside Bunnies. Mazels and Sofian also staying out on the 6 and 4 lap mediums respectively. But let's just talk about what KXI did on turn number 14, because I want to see an onboard clip of that. I caught the tail end of it when I seen double yellow flags. He somehow spun it and went into the runoff, facing the wrong way to the left-hand side of the track, facing back towards Sector 2, bear in mind here. So I'm not quite sure what happened there with the Red Bull, but he has stayed out on track. Whether just trying to gun it and jump up positions, of course, was right down the back. And Mark Wilson, that is a costly penalty for him, 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. And to do it under safety car, I think we'd be lying if we said we haven't done it at least one point in our league racing sort of time. We've all made a silly mistake like that, and to get it under a safety car, he will be kicking himself. But head down, Mark, and we'll see how this race pans out. 18 laps to go here around the Hungaroring, of course. We have got the majority of the field on fresh intermediates. The only retirement, of course, being Nander 25, which, it must be said, it was a retirement under very strange circumstances, and I'm putting it down to some sort of game-breaking bug where it doesn't like it when people disconnect. So hopefully that does get rectified and patched out soon. It is unfortunate for the McLaren, showing some good pace. But the battle, the key battle it could be, is how quick can the likes of Mark Wilson, can Tobes and Staban clear Bunnies and KXI? Of course, 9 lap of difference in the intermediates. There is going to be a justifiable difference in pace between those cars. Bunnies and KXI, though, maybe playing that long game, that quick and loose strategy, waiting for the next safety car, of course. Everybody would likely maybe say, well, it could be a split bag, of course. It just depends exactly when it comes out. Some, if they do have a fresh set of inters coming in, some might stay out on these tyres now and then. Of course, the pace advantage of fresher tyres would swing to those that pit, and maybe that is what they're going for. Track position over the fresher tyres in hopes that that swings back around and they can get the fresher tyres towards the end. We will wait and see. Mazels and Sofian doing a very similar thing. Of course, they had a little bit of trouble on the last restarts. Mazels having a spin around about turn number 11, and Sofian having another little bit of damage just relating to some incidents in the mid-pack at turn 8 and 9. But it is going to be safety car in this lap. I believe Jamie has just re-entered the comms booth.
Yes, I have, mate. And I'm seeing a 3-second time penalty to Mark Wilson. So you want to fill me on that one?
Yeah, it was a strange one. Just completely under safety car around about turn 9. Looked to have just run a little bit wide, and just one of those silly little mistakes that can really have an impact on the race. I don't think there was much else to note. Of course, we knew about Aizen's drive-through, and I was just waffling on about KXI having a little bit of a spin, trying to beat the pack out of the pits, but we are back to green flag racing. The key battle I highlighted, Jamie, Mark Wilson, Tobes, Staban and co, all those on the fresher inter, who are behind KXI and Bunnies. They've got the tyre advantage, but they need to clear those two cars to make them work and try and take the fight to Indian Jesus.
They have to. They can't afford to be stuck behind cars on all the tyres. However, Polishman tried to move on Leon into turn 1, but Leon had a better exit with traction indeed and stayed ahead of the Polishman in the Aston Martin. Sofian's ahead of King Panda, but looking to do a switchback. The fight's not done yet with Polishman and the Red Bull of Leon there, but Leon has the racing line and covers him off for the time being. Mark Wilson putting pressure on KXI. This could be a risky move around the outside. Into turn 6 we go, and he's fully ahead before the corner ends as well, so that's a great move around the outside. Gotta call that one a stream as well on Mark Wilson, just having the pure grip and pace to go around the outside. Next round is Bunnies. I bet those two will be regretting they stayed on the older inters. This reminds me as well of tier 1 with Mick, Jasper, I think Sieb, who on older inters, whereas everybody else was on fresher inters, and they lost a lot of positions too, stayed out there on older tyres. And here we are. I thought I saw somebody go down the inside in this corner, this flat out right-hander, but Tobes, it was about to make a move into turn 13, but wasn't close enough, and he has to make this move. You know, he can't afford to be stuck behind KXI to let Mark Wilson go. and he's looking for ways to get past him, surely but safely as well. As you can see, the Red Bull losing grip. Tobes has much better traction on those intermediates. Indian Jesus in one lap alone has pulled out a 2.7 second gap over Bunnies. Across the line we go. Now it is 2.7 seconds. As you can see, Mark Wilson looking to set this move up. It's going to be a late braking move into turn 1. Let's see how hard the Canadian driver fights this, which he doesn't go down the inside. Tobes, however, goes down the inside into 1 ahead of KXI. But actually, I think Bunnies had a massive tank slapper, and Mark Wilson's up into P2. KXI has overtaken Tobes, or stayed ahead of him. Now he's trying to go around the outside into turn 2. Does Tobe has the confidence on the throttle there just to go on it a bit more than KXI to try and make the move into turn 3 we go now, still side by side. As you can see, Stevan has overtaken KXI too. Two former commentators, KXI and Stevan, of mine as well, and they're now racing with each other. That's incredible. Tobe's up into P4. Stevan's made the move very quickly as well to dispatch Leon. In fact, KXI now. Leon's at the back of his teammate. You can see KXI having a massive tank slapper. I think punishment's hit the back of Leon there, and it's just a massive concertina effect as well as they all make our way into the chicane we go with KXI on all the tyres.
Yeah, Leon having a little bit of a moment there into the chicane as well, I noticed. I'm not sure if that was maybe just in reaction, a sort of knee-jerk reaction to KXI having that little moment, or maybe just expecting the teammate to move out of the way. Team orders at play at Red Bull. We expect to see that as real DC goes down the inside of Polishman into turn number 12, getting a better traction as well. And Polishman now under threat from Nacho. I feel like these two have been glued to each other the entire of this race, and that Aston Martin and Williams both sliding through the corner. DC into the pits, KXI into the pits. I wonder, KXI maybe just deciding that these tyres aren't going to do, or is DC coming in for damage, or are we going to see the blue stripe wets? Yes, we are. The extreme wet tyres going on to the Red Bull, going on to the Mercedes, and looks to be going on to the Haas of Klapper as well. Mazel's following suit, and Aizen, of course, I believe is serving his drive-through penalty. So now we've got a game in our hands here, Jamie. We've got the the inters versus the wets, as Dragon on Speed, unfortunately, not suiting well, to these slightly wetter conditions. Dragons notoriously known to struggle when it's raining, having a spin at turn number 2. But this could be interesting, Jamie. It is getting very wet out there, it must be said, and maybe the full blue stripe compounds are the way to go. Will we see anybody else pull the trigger, jump the gun, and go for them in the coming laps? Time will tell very, very shortly.
Mixture of strategies going on. The pendulum keeps swinging to different people's ways. KXI, by staying out there on Inters, gain a track position. Then pits over to the wet compound tyres, might pay him dividends later on. I think all the drivers might have to respond now. Depends if it gets wetter and wetter throughout the session as well. Bunnies will have to definitely respond because he's been overtaken by Tobes and Stevan, and now he's in P5. What will the Williams driver do? Mark Wilson is in the pit lane to go onto the wet compound tyres, so I wonder, could this trigger a massive response to go in the pit lane then, with the Indian Jesus having to respond and everybody else behind? This could be a change of the race where now the wets could be in play, or is it a short period of time where the Inter will have to suffer on the Inters a bit until it gets a bit dry? Who knows, but definitely getting wetter out there on the track. But into turn 1 we go with Sofian and Rapid F1. Due to the safety car being out, you could do the switch back there from Rapid. Was incredible, gets better traction, and now ahead of the AlphaTauri. Can he make his way through the field again? Sofian looking to come back underneath him, but can't quite do it as the AlphaTauri has to stay in P2 for the time being. What's going on between the wet runners? And DC's in P15 ahead of KXI then. So let's see what happens.
It's a really interesting one. KXI was actually gaining on the leader about 4 tenths within just about half a sector, and then all of a sudden just has had a couple of moments and the car just sliding out from underneath him, and you can really see the juxtaposition. DC making that position and clearing him by almost a second within a couple of turns. DC on a mission here and really reeling in the likes of Dragon and those further up ahead. Mark Wilson, though, could be in a very, very good position. He's only 5 seconds off the next nearest car, and he's just made up the guts of about half a second through turn number 9 on its own. That time really, really slicing down. It looks, Jamie, as if the wets are now the tyre you want to be on. The pace differential is massive. Rapid and Glow Stick paying no attention to that whatsoever. They're having a right ding-dong around about the outside of 13, but Glowstick has decided enough is enough. It's time for, I'm assuming, the weights, and is going to join the rest at the back running on those. But the remainder of the field sticking it out on the inters for the meantime. But puddles really starting to form. You can really see them on this start-finish straight here, Jamie. When the puddles start to form, that to me tells me get on those weights, or else you're going to lose a massive amount of time. And Mark Wilson really closing in on the back of the pack. DC closing in on the back of the pack, and he is pulling along KXI, Mazzles, Club PR, and potentially Glowstick and Eason with a little bit of a gap between them. This could be a big battle of the strategies, and it's like I said earlier on, Jamie, you just don't know who's going to win this race.
I don't indeed, but it's definitely getting better because the gap was 22.4 a lap ago. It's 21.0, 20.9. He's gained massively on the cars ahead. Mark Wilson is the fastest driver on the circuit so far. He could play the right strategy here. Indian Jesus has to respond. I think Indian Jesus might get undercutted by Mark Wilson if he decides to pick this lap. He's actually coming around the penultimate corner, is Indian Jesus. What will he do? Does he know that the wet tyres are better? No, he stays out there. So that's very interesting indeed, because Mark Wilson has gained a rapid rate of knots on drivers on the inters. He's right behind Sofian. If I can get the thing up, there we go. Let's see what he does on Sofian. Oh, made contact almost with the AlphaTauri driver. Tobes is in the pit lane too. I really hope he has got the full wind damage, which he doesn't, so thankfully he doesn't. But Mercedes has spun. Is that Glowstick who spun? He just came out the wet compound tyres, probably a bit too wet there for Glowstick, unfortunately gone for a spin. So Tobes is now in the pit lane to go on the wets, acknowledging that the wets are quicker. The gap is now 21.2. He lost a bit of time fighting the AlphaTauri, but let's see his pace then on this lap. And King Panda's fighting with Nacho into turn 1, and Nacho's gone off the track momentarily. Now he's back on it alongside Panda. Into turn 2 we go, and let's see who ends up top of this battle. Wheel to wheel in a slow speed call like this. Who's dead? Oh, he almost lost it there. Tried to get the throttle a bit too early, with the back end not living with it whatsoever. Now here comes Jay Hartnell looking to capitalise on powers. Bear in mind though, Jay Hartnell lost his wing, caused that second safety car. Now he's back up into P7, just behind his rapid F1. He was mighty quick in the first stint as well. In the first stint, I must say, the interphase where we had as well, but now he's all over the back of these drivers. What could he have done? Look at this further up. We've got to battle for P4 here. Leon's into P3, Buddy's in P4, and Polishman in P5. Interestingly, Nacho, Rapid and Glowstick and Jay Hartnell fighting 2 in the midfield. This is a massive squabble. Look who's joined the back of this pack. It's Mark Wilson. The gap is 20.3 now, but if he continues to stay like this, fighting behind this pack who are fighting very intensely, he could lose a lot of time as Rapid is up the inside now. Oh, what could he have done if he didn't make a mistake into turn 2? If he had been a bit more patient, not fighting too hard or down the inside. He's up into P8 now, is the RP driver. Let's see, it's torrential. Look at the rain. It's treacherous out there. You can barely see a thing now. And Mark Wilson has overtaken Nacho, who's in the pit lane. The gap is 21.0 between himself and Indian Jesus. This is incredible.
It is really do or die at this stage of the Grand Prix, could be said. Indian Jesus, Esteban, and to a degree Leon leading this pack are doing it pretty well, as Glowstick looks to have had another bit of a spin on turn number 13. They're handling the conditions well despite the tyre discrepancy. They shouldn't really be on these tyres for these conditions in an ideal world. Mark Wilson dispatching Jay Hartnell. Jay Hartnell having a little bit of a drift on the inside of turn number 2. Of course, Mark has lost a little bit of time, it must be said, to those behind him on the wet tyres, particularly Tobes on those very fresh wets, who gets past Safine. There's yellow flags flashing left, right and centre, but Mark's race could be decided here and now. He's got to try and clear through this intermediate traffic, Jamie, but you've got to do it safely. You can't take risks. You can't, if you lose your wing, it could be race over, of course. As he gets down the inside of Bunnies into turn number 8, and you can just see the grip difference between the two compounds. He's got to get by them quick to not lose much to the likes of Tobes, DC, KXI further behind in the weights, but he's got to do it safely and try and cover off a potential overcut from Indian Jesus and Esteban, because as much as his tyres are quicker, he's going to lose a little bit of time in this pack, and that could be the difference between the top step the second step, the third step, or not being on any of the steps of the podiums here tonight. Up into P7 this mark, Tobes in P10, and with just about 10 laps to go, Jamie, it's getting anyone's game, any bit spicy. This is what we love to see.
It is indeed. As you can see, the Aston Martin podium has gone out wide at turn 1. Isaac picked up a 3-second time penalty in his ass. And look at King Panda too, almost side by side, but couldn't get fully alongside him. The gap is 22.4 now, but it looks like the rain has eased off ever so slightly, so we could see where the Inters could be back. Maybe it was just a short-term thing, but look at that punishment on a big slide coming out of turn 3. So did King Panda too, trying to fight underneath him, but couldn't quite make a move. And now Rapid is all over the back of his Alpine teammate. Both Alpines doing a great job this race as well, it must be said. But we've had a lot of change in positions. You can see King Panda struggling too. Indian Jesus, I thought the wets were better at this stage. Mark is all over the back. He might cut the chicane, which he does. He's got to be very careful not to get involved in squabbles like this. The gap is 23.3, so he's actually lost 2 seconds now. The gap was 21.2 a few moments ago, and now he's struggling too. And look at Jay Hartnell gaining on him too. So I said the rain was easing off. It doesn't look too treacherous like it did a few laps ago, where we couldn't see a thing. It looks like it's back to its standard intermediates then, so the intermediates could be in play now. It was just all about surviving at that stage, and they have survived. Well, some of them have. Now the wets might be the ones that might not be useful anymore, so we'll see if the rain does ease off now. Tobes is overtaking Buddies. You know what, I'm surprised Buddies is still out there on old Inters. Oh, Tobes on the outside line had no grip whatsoever, but just half spun the car, but thankfully saved it. The battle for P4 and P5 still remains, with Rapid in P6 as well. Here we are, down this long straight then as we head down into turn 1. Panda all over the back of us. Polishman tried to do the move once, or do it twice. And here we go, can he pay off the second time? And look at Rapid, is he about to make it 3 abreast? The RP's in the middle, it was 3 abreast the last lap with the Williams involved too. Oh, Buddies who dropped back down the order, but King Panda has to bail out this one. Rapid might go around the outside, try and get 2 for 1 here, all the way around the outside, into turn 3 now. Has the inside line, and Rapid is up into P4, but is he now? Yes, he is. But there's contact too with Punishment and King Panda. That was very close there to King Panda going to the wall, but thankfully Punishment saved it. Look at Rapid, he spun. I don't know what lap it was quite a long time ago, but he spun in the first stint, and now here he is in P4. Could he fight for a podium?
He's definitely looking quite rapid at this stage. Come on, you didn't think my tier 5 jokes would disappear, though we do have, a spanner in the works here, Jamie. Mazel's losing an exit of turn 4, the Alpha Tauri into the wall, and a safety car for the third time this evening has been deployed. This is where the gambles start to come in. Indian Jesus into the pits, and the rain is easing off. Are we going to see the Inters? Is anybody going to think it's going to just stay that little bit too wet for them, and the wets are going to be the better tyre? It's very much inconsistent data from us, of course. We've seen some of the wets flourish in these conditions, but we've seen some of the intermediate drivers flourish in these conditions. Indian Jesus opting for the intermediate tyres. Steban coming into the pits next. We'll see what the Alfa Romeo driver is going to put on, as Glowstick, I didn't even notice Glowstick retiring, and Aizen, apologies. When did that happen? That's a good question. A few though drivers, Jamie, are sticking it out. One of which, Mark Wilson on the wet tyres. Now, if it is going to go Inters, that could be the undoing of his race. King 5 Panda, Polish Man and Rapid up into P2, but on 11 lap old intermediates. Jay Hartnell also in that position, and Indian Jesus has that little buffer now of those 4 cars to Steban. Leon in a decent position as well, it must be said, with those fresh intermediates, and all of those wet runners at the back, Jamie, on to a fresh set of intermediates. Sofian, unfortunately, not having a fresh set available, it seems. 2 lap old set for himself. Won't be a massive difference, but could be enough of a difference to decide a position or 2. We're probably, if my maths is correct here, we're going to serve 28 under the safety car, 29, and hopefully we'll be racing on lap 30. Gives us a 6-lap sprint to the end here.
I love this tier. There's so many things that's changed in this race. So many position changes. It's gone up and down like a fruit machine as well. So many unpredictable things. Indian Jesus, by the way, P1's not the whole of it. But incredible. He took P1 ever since the first safety car came out. Took the lead of the Grand Prix. Almost went deep into turn number 13 as well, but kept the car. And Rapid, he spun, making contact with Stefan as well. Polishman also in P3. He's been at the back most of the field as well, but slowly and steadily making his way through the field too. Where did he start, in fact? He was definitely outside the top 10 for sure, I can tell you that one. P18. So both Aston Martins had a dismal qualifying. One due to a qualifying ban, and the other just having not the pace in the qualifying either. But let's have a look at these stops. It's a 3-stop strategy for EDGs. There's 2 stops, 4 stops. Bloody hell. Look at all these stops we're having. 5 stops for Claire PR. But loads and loads of stops in this race. And it's been to watch. It's been a very interesting one, this race has. Probably one of the races of the season, even though it is the second race of the season. But can he get much better than this? With 5 laps left to go in this race. KXI, DC, Director of Speed, Tobes. Those drivers have seen the podium, so has Leon, but now they're down in P8, P10 and P13, 15, so a lot of drivers benefiting and disadvantaged due to the safety car. Be on the right tyres at the right time, they say, but for Mark Wilson's sake, it does look like the rain is easing off. Everybody is back on old inters or inters, old inters they were beginning with during the second safety car, or new inters. So I don't think the wets could be the ones now, because it looked like for a period of time the wets were the best tyres to be on, but unfortunately it wasn't too wet for the wets to be used at a long distance. So it was just about surviving in the inters if you could.
Yeah, I think likes of Indian Jesus, like you're saying, and Staban pulling off a very, very controlled and a very good drive, gapping the rest of the field on those inters. Mark Wilson might, I mean, we're not going to say anything yet. He is the only driver, apart from Nacho, with a penalty, of course, but he's the only driver, of course, on the wets as well. There is a few puddles off the racing line, so who knows if he has to defend or attack off the racing line. They might be ever so slightly better, but I think for the majority of the running, just with their extra age and their slightly different compound compared to the conditions, might see him at a disadvantage. Rapid, Polishman, King Fly Panda and Jay Hartnell. Be interesting to watch them on the older intermediates to see how they fare with things. And you hit the nail on the head. The likes of Bunnies, Tobes, Dragon on Speed, KXI and DC, Nacho as well. They all qualified pretty good. They were all up in that top pack, and just for a variety of reasons have found themselves right down near the bottom of this grid with 6 laps to go. As we get racing again under lap 30. Indeed, Jesus taking a very, very clean restart, catching Rapid sleeping ever so slightly. Polishman again the same, but Staban right on the ball, as is Leon, flying past Jay Hartnell on the rundown to turn number 1. Staban getting very, very close to the rear of Mark Wilson's, and Bunny's also getting past Jay Hartnell. Jay Hartnell, you can see the disadvantage of those slightly older intermediates already. Jamie dropped down the pack as a McLaren of Mark Wilson, runs a little bit deep, just not finding the temps and the grip on the wet tyres at this stage. And it could be a big, big race of the season, but a race of what-ifs for a lot of these drivers here, Jamie.
What if it did? What if he went on this strategy? What if he did this? And look at this. You can see Stevan with better inters now alongside King Panda up the inside now. Oh, contact is made, but thankfully it was only a half spin and not a full spin. So he stays in this race for the time being. Leon looking at the back of interest spot. Bunnies, remember, in the first intermediate stage, he had great pace and now he's on fresher inters. Let's see what he could do. And there's a battle going on further behind. Jay Hartnell all over the place. The back of the car, wagging its tail, toes ahead. Dragon of Speed is back through. Dragon of Speed spun a few laps to go at turn number 14, but he's back into P10 now. Oh, down the inside goes Leon on Stevan, trying to make a move there, but Bunnies will capitalise due to the poor exit from Leon, and he moves himself up into P6. This has been a great race from Leon so far. I mean, Bunnies in P6. My commentator in Tier 1, who did a great job in Tier 1. Tobes ahead of Mark Wilson. In the final corner we go, dragging it out on the wet compound tyres, but it's not going his way. Stevan on the back of King Panda now as we make our way down into turn 1 we go. A drag race into turn 1. Let's see who gets ahead. I presume Stevan with the fresher inters, but you never know what could happen here. As Bunnies goes out wide, going out of turn 1 now, you can see Leon is alongside of him. So Bunnies outbroke himself, but when he get a decent exit with those inters to go up the inside or around the outside, here he is. Later breaks in turn 2. We'll see what happens to Rapid at turn 2, but there's enough space there for Bunnies to slip through and up into P5 ahead of King Panda. Then Bunnies will be an absolute happy bunny here tonight if he gets a podium, but there's quite a long way to go in this way. Well, 4 laps to go. Polishman and Rapid on older tyres, Steve and Bunnies on newer Inters. So let's see if those two can catch those two towards the end. But Stevan is now on the back of Polishman for P3 then, so his podium chances looks like they're fading away with Leon overtaking King. No, he's off the track.
Sorry, just to jump in, Jamie, King 5 Panda having a little bit of a moment there on the run down to the chicane, and Leon just not predicting it, running into the back of him. I believe there is wing damage of even a very minor nature, of course, at this stage of the Grand Prix is detrimental, and it is just an unfortunate coming together. And I think you'll see what I'm seeing.
Oh my goodness me. My ex-commentators have both hit each other, and Stevan is in the spin in P7. He'll be absolutely furious for that one. Tobe's trying to go around the outside now. It was Bunnies. If Steven reports it, I dare say Bunnies could get a penalty for that one because he just plainly outbroke himself. So Bunnies might pick up a bit of pain for that one. Just had to be patient. Did the Williams driver. Had a lot of pace in his disposal tonight, but unfortunately has made a few mistakes now and then. Here comes Tobes. Look at this. A 3 moment into turn 1. Mark Wilson's retired. Here we are into turn 1. And Alfa Romeo up the inside, making contact with the Ferrari 2 as they all barge each other off the track. And Mark Wilson is out of this Grand Prix, unfortunately. The second Ferrari of Dragon of Speed is up into P6. So he's lost out again, has Tobes, and look at this, he's under pressure now from King Panda, who's side by side into turn 3 but loses traction midway through the corner and has to give the place towards his towards the Ferrari. But Dragon of Speed up into P6, incredible. I'm so lost. I don't know. I actually don't know what's going on in this race anymore. There's just so many position changes. I need to go re-watch this race to find out how these people got where they are right now.
Right, you need about 20,000 fingers to keep up with everything that's happened in this race. For the most part, it's been very, very clean. But as we get towards the end of this Grand Prix, the elbows have been getting out, and I've seen a few things that may end up in the steward's office. We will wait and see. I won't comment any more on that. But Rapid and Polishman doing it pretty good on those Olders intermediates, particularly Rapid. Indian Jesus, though, in a class of his own. Maybe making a stake at a claim that I should be up here in Tier 2. We'll wait and see, of course, after a few races review. But certainly putting that potentially on the cards after tonight. We will wait and see. 14 cars still in this Grand Prix, 12 of which will score points. And Bunnies is going to have a look at the podium paying positions here, getting the move done on Polishman into turn number 1, but Polishman a little bit of a switchback now, gets the inside line, loots up the tyres a little bit too much, and the car starts to wobble more than a plate of jelly on a trampoline. KXI losing a bit of time on the exit off at turn number 1. Did you like that analogy, Jamie?
I wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting that one whatsoever. But you know what I'd do now if I was Bunnies? I'd pull away because I know I've taken out Stevan, so it could be a penalty coming my way. So I think Bunnies has to push hard, but Stevan won't make it happen because he's coming up the inside of Polishman and he's up into B4, but he's actually tapped him, but thankfully not in the spin. I think Bunnies will love that if Polishman took out Stevan, but not on this occasion. Both Ferraris have had troubles of their own, both started in the top 5, are currently P6 and P7. I can't actually tell where it's all gone wrong for both Ferraris. I know where for Dragon of Speed because he's spun quite a few times, and as you said, it's not really the wets are not really his forte, as it says, but he's in P6 for the time being, and KXI and DC and Sofian having their own squabbles for P8 there. But Toes, I don't know where it's gone wrong. Actually, Dragon of Speed is going around the outside of Polishman. Nice move, but can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Up to P5. No, he can't because Polishman is coming around the outside. But Stevan is fighting Bunnies. Let's see what happens into turn 1 we go. But for the time being, I'm on board with Dragon of Speed and Polishman as they constantly swap positions there. And you would have complained at me if I was a P7 because you said about epileptic splitting positions all the time as we head down into turn 1, the French GP, if you remember. And Toes goes off the track, but yeah, Dragon of Speed is finally ahead of Polishman.
Yeah, it gets the move done up into P6. Tobes, it's kind of been a race of about 5 tiers for him. Of course, a great qualifying, found himself down the pack onto the wets, started P10 in this restart, he was up ahead of Steban and Dragon on Speed, and then just seemed to be a bit of wheel banging on between drivers, and unfortunately, no matter who's been at fault, well, maybe get an idea of that later on. He's came out worse of it and is now stuck behind Polishman when Esteban and Dragon are well clear, and Esteban a couple seconds up the road. You can really see the pace difference here riding on board with Toves, just how much quicker those newer intermediates are than Polishman. And what a, to be fair, a very nice bit of driving from both of these drivers to, with the difference, the pace differential in the tyres, make it round the corners nice and safe. I wonder if Polishman is nursing a little bit of wing damage, just seems to be taking everything very, very cannily, as KXI almost has a little rundown into turn number 12, sticks that nose in very, very briefly. But we are on the final lap here, Jamie, and I've just noticed a very big number on the top left-hand side of my screen. 11.5 seconds Indian Jesus has pulled on this pack. What a drive from P20 on the grid.
I've also noted, yeah, great drive from Indian Jesus. I've also noticed that Bunnies and Stevan have closed in on rapid at a rapid rate of knots, but it's the last lap of the Grand Prix. DC is ahead of KXI as we head into turn one with Polishman there again, so he's been a roadblock for some driver, an obstacle in the way. They would like to get dispatched very quickly. Both made contact as well into turn two, but what about Stevan versus Rapid? Because, Bunny, sorry, because in that middle sector, Stevan was very quick, seemed to have more confidence on the throttle in comparison to Bunnies, and almost overtook him. You can see more cornering speed there for Stevan in turn 6, so you can see he's much more confident in the corners. But Rapid, I think he's secured in P2 unless anything dramatic happens like a puncher. 18 lap old inters, but bearing in mind that we had safety cars as Stevan tries to look for a way through on Bunnies then as we head out. This is a podium pay position for Stevan and Bunnies, very crucial. These two will fight to the death into the final few corners of this race. But for Indian Jesus, as he makes his way out of the penultimate corner, keeping an eye on P3 and P4, Stevan all over the back of Bunnies, can't make his way through. This man has led the race ever since the wet came in, and he wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. What a fantastic drive for Indian Jesus there. Absolutely sensational. Stevan going very wide at the final corner, but in the end, it's Rapid in P2 ahead of Bunnies, Stevan in P4. Both Ferraris P5 and P6 in all consideration. Great drive from both of them. DC in P7 ahead of KXI, Polishman P9, Sofian in P10. But I think Tobes, where it went wrong was when he put on the wet compound tyres when he should have stayed out on the inters. But this is an absolute phenomenal race there with a lot of things going on. The trajectory of this race has constantly changed. You couldn't even write the scripts for this race because so many things have changed. So many people in different positions every time we look. Rapid on his debut for Tier 3 has done a phenomenal job. He should be very impressed with himself. Started P10, finished in P2. Considering what happened to him and Stevan at turn 2, he still came back very strong and old inters to finish in P2. What a fantastic drive. But driver of the day for me, got to be Indian Jesus, surely, from starting last to first. Just controlled the race from when it became wet all the way to the end of this Grand Prix. When the first safety car came out, he stayed out on older tyres, dry tyres. Everybody else went to pit lane for wets or inters. But that turned out to be the right call, and ever since then he hasn't looked back at all. Just led the race when that safety car happened. And Bunnies, what a fantastic drive, but I dare say that podium won't be lasting due to the contact with Stevan. Probably should have let him go and fight him again for P3, but Stevan will be absolutely furious after being in P2 majority of this race as well. The trajectory of this race has changed a lot, and I'm so glad to be commentating it alongside Scotty tonight, because without you, I think I'd be lost in this race. I don't know what's happened.
It is. It probably is quite handy that we've got two more experienced commentators on this grid, because they certainly did deliver tonight, Jamie. Like you've said, the racing was from start to the end absolutely incredible. Indian Jesus taking that win from P20 ahead of Rapid and Bunnies on that provisional podium. P10 and P17, of course. None of our top three starting within the top 10. Stepan, Dragon on Speed, Tobes, Real DC, KXI, Polishman, Sofian, King Fi Panda, Natural rounding off the points scoring positions. Jay Hartnell and Kloppy are the other two finishers, of course, in what was an action-packed Hungarian Grand Prix. Yeah, I'm ready for a big sleep after that, Jamie. That was exhausting for me, and I imagine it was exhausting for you. I hate to think how the drivers are feeling after that, because they have put on an almighty brilliant little race for us there.
I think that race would have stressed me out as a driver because all those strategies, all those decisions you have to make. I know India Jesus led it from what basically start to finish, but yeah, it would be stressful for him too, making those decisions and what tyres you should go on because he had no idea the wets were better because he was so far in front. He didn't have to worry about the wets. But I think Stevan, I've been told by Nathan Stevan should join the party as well, so I'll give him an invite. Rapid, Glow Stick, not Glow Stick, sorry, Rapid, Bunnies, and Indeed Jesus have joined the party, and I would tell Stevan to join the party. Indeed, join party. There we go. So 4 drivers will be interviewing due to circumstances. We obviously know what happened down in turn 13, but we're going to start off with Indian Jesus. So, Indian Jesus, what was your expectations going to the race from being in last place? Did you know it was going to be raining at all during the race?
Hey, what a race. I didn't expect it to rain. Initially, before we joined the lobby, I was praying for dry weather. And then I saw the rain and was like, Jesus Christ, this is not going to work out from last place going all the way to the field. It's just so tough in the wet around Hungary. And yeah, it was just an absolutely insane race.
Jamie, do you still have me here?
Luckily, it
Yes.
went absolutely.
I'm just wondering here now.
Hello?
I don't know how things are looking for you. I think we might be in a very unfortunate position here. I'm looking at the party, and I'm just seeing a swirl of names trying to connect, and it keeps flashing up.
Those guys have muted themselves. I think they're alright. I think they've all joined.
I'm seeing them all joined. It looks as if they're just connecting. I think we're maybe having a few issues with PSN tonight, and it's just taking a little time for them to load in.
Did you just hear Indy Jesus speak? Did you hear him just speak?
I did not. No.
Oh, he was speaking the whole time, and I was hearing him.
Right, well, my apologies. I think it's maybe an issue on my part. Then I'll let you carry on.
Yeah, Scott, leave and rejoin the party because all 4 of them are fine for me. So, India Jesus, sorry for that interruption, mate. I don't know if you heard Scott just then, but continue what you were talking about, mate.
Yeah, can you hear me, guys?
I can hear you. Also, before we all get started, guys, make sure your voice is to be shared, please.
I'm a BTEC streamer, so it should be on.
Yeah,
Indian.
so I didn't expect much from this race, to be honest, starting in P20. And not having any qualifying to go off, and then having a wet race, I was not very optimistic, to be honest. I was going to be fine settling with points, and then it just all went so well. And I think the first stint I had was probably the best stint I've ever had in my league racing career. And yeah, it just felt good. Today it just felt good.
You know at any point in the race that the wets were the better tyres because it got very treacherous in the race as well. In your mind, did you think that the wets were going to be better, or did you know that it should be eaten off very soon and stay on the inters and just survive throughout that period?
Yeah, so initially on the interest I felt really good. I think I pulled quite a huge gap, and then that safety car came, I think. And yeah, that drained quite heavily, and I didn't feel all that confident on my interest, and I knew the wets were going to be better. I heard that from my race engineer, and I saw a couple of guys pitting behind me, but I was just thinking, you know what, it is probably going to dry up again, or like get lighter. And I was just trying to hang on and just not make mistakes. I locked up my rears quite a few times. It was quite scary, but luckily I hung on, and it all worked out in the end.
In the first stint, you was on the, was it medium compound tyres? Nobody saw the hard, so I presume you're on the mediums making your way through the field. And you saw everybody pitted. Then you up into P1. And when it got heavier and heavier, did you think to yourself, oh, I made the wrong choice here because it's getting heavier? Or how did you know to stay out of those laps extra?
So I was on the softs, luckily. That was quite beneficial, those conditions. And I knew it was going to rain around lap 9, 10-ish from the race strat. So I was quite confident those guys were pitting too early. And there was nothing from a race engineer regarding tire choice. So I was feeling good. I was feeling happy staying in my softs. And then luckily the safety car came out, which also helped me initially. And then I got a free pit stop, obviously, and that put me to P1, which was obviously absolutely insane.
What was your reaction when you found yourself in P1? Because not only you in P1, but you're on the freshest inside a lot too, so you could really benefit from that, and obviously it helped you in the end. So what was your reaction for that?
Yeah, I was ecstatic, to be honest. I never even imagined that happening. And then I knew I had to put my head down, not make mistakes, because I knew I had the pace to keep P1, but I'm prone to making mistakes. So just try to balance pace with consistency.
And now you got this win, does it make you even more confidence because you did it under amazing circumstances, from starting last and surviving the wet conditions? You pulled a massive gap over your rivals on the same tyres too. So knowing what you did tonight, does it really help you transfer that confidence over to the next race?
I mean, it's obviously a confidence boost winning this race, but I gotta say the competition is fierce and strong, and I think today was probably my best league race ever. So I'm most likely not gonna repeat that in the near future. So I just hope I can maybe fight podiums in the next few races and just keep this momentum going.
Yeah, luckily this time under wet conditions you didn't get taken out by a safety car this time, so nice to see you up into P1, mate. And Scott, you got any questions to ask to Indian Jesus? If he's here. Scott did join the party.
I was on mute there. I was talking to myself there for about 5 seconds until I realised. I did miss the majority of the conversation because PSN is about as useful as Codemasters is these days. But all I want to say to you, indeed, Jesus, is cracking result tonight. I know you made a little joke, qualifying ban at Hungary. What else could be better? You've just proved any sort of doubt in that. Making a little joke about how hard it is to overtake. I think my knowledge of you, you've always had stunning pace around this track, and you showed it once again tonight. So my only question is, what are you doing next, Firsty?
No.
Hopefully talking to you guys again. That's what I want to do. I want to be on the podium again. But what's the next race anyways? I don't even know.
It is La Castatel, or Castellet. Jamie, you'll be able to correct me on that. It's France.
Yeah, good members there.
That, so, yeah, let's see how it goes, I guess, next week.
No, nothing else from me. Congratulations on your win tonight. I'll hand it back to you, Jamie. Let you do your thing.
Indian Jesus, be aware you're not allowed to overtake off the track at the French GP. You don't know what I'm on about, but some people do.
I do.
You're not allowed to overtake off the track. You just got to stay the white line when you overtake. Just a bit of advice, Indian Jesus.
I'll give it my best.
And don't crash on the last lap either if you're in the lead.
That might happen. Let's see about it. But thank you guys for the commentary today.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure racing with you guys.
You're welcome, mate. Pleasure to. And it's your first win since the Canadian Grand Prix as well, a few weeks ago in Montreal. So congrats on that, mate. You did a stunning job. I've always known you've had great pace, but the consistency and luck hasn't been there. But now you've shown it. You can definitely do it, and we'll hopefully see you at the French GP. So moving on to second place and making his debut in CRL for Tier 3. It is Rapid, and Rapid, you are absolutely rapid tonight. And you did make a mistake fighting Stevan. You fell down the order. I'm not quite sure where you ended up, but in fact, just tell us how the race went, because I actually can't remember a majority of it, because there's so many things you have to remember. You need to make a highlights reel. So, firstly, congrats on P2 and talk us through your race.
Had a bit of an up and down race, really. I had a little incident with someone during that wet, when I was raining. I dropped down to P18, I think it was.
Prefer not to speak.
And yeah, I just made my way through the field and tried to keep it on the track, and ended up in P2.
Do you know, during this last safety car, did you on older tyres, did you think that you might get swallowed up by guys on fresher tyres towards the end? But because I thought you would, with that tyre difference you had against everybody else. So was you expected to drop down the order?
I was expecting the people on fresh tyres to come and try and attack me, but I think there was a few cars behind me that hadn't pitted also. So I was hoping they would hold them up a little bit. And I think they did. So it worked out for me.
How difficult out there was it to just predict the strategy, because it was dries, then inters, then very wet. I think you were one of the drivers who stayed out on the inters during that heavy wet scene as well. So, just how difficult is it to predict the strategy, especially with those safety cars coming out too?
I think staying on inters was the best strategy during when it got heavier, because I think it only was heavy for about 5 laps or something. So you just got to wait it out. Then you'll be the quicker person on track again.
At what point did you think that you make your way back with the podium? Because you've had mighty pace the entirety of this race, but unfortunately made contact it's turn 2 with the driver who's in the party. So hopefully you two will sort yourself out between those two. But yeah, at what point did you think you can get back on the podium?
I was just keeping with the people in front of me when it was raining quite hard. So I was just trying to keep the pace up. And then when the rain got lighter again, I knew I had the pace to get back up.
At what point, at any point during the heavy wet stage, did you think to go on the wets? Because we saw Mark Wilson catching up towards you and the back of that pack. So did you think to yourself that wets could be better, or was it tempted to go on the wets, or did you notice just stay on the inters?
I did notice people were pitting for wets, and I was noticing also that Mark was catching quite quickly. But I stayed on the inters. I was stuck to that strategy to stay on the inters. So I just held it out, and then it worked out in the end.
Congrats on P2, mate. You've done a phenomenal job throughout the whole race. It was a pleasure to watch you race as well, overtake people, despite that spin in turn 2. But overall, great comeback drive, mate. And over to you, Scott. You got any questions for him?
Not really questions as such, more just a sort of congratulations rapid. Of course, first official outing in CRL, you could say, but it's not the first time you've appeared on the channel, of course. You involved in the Interleague charity stream we had back, of course, in the summer, and again performed well. And again, another driver I've actually personally raced with outside of the league. I was a little bit surprised to actually see you in Tier 3, to be honest, but you know, a stellar performance tonight really, really marks the sort of pace that you've had. Consistent as well, it must be said. You know, it wasn't a race of just being up there and down and all over the place. Yes, it had its ups and downs, but no matter what happened, you came back from it. Of course, only a reserve this season. Unfortunately, joined it just a little bit into the start of the season, but I'm hopeful that you'll be on the grid a few more times over the coming season, and who knows? You know, full-time seats come up all over the place. Nearly couldn't even get that sentence out there. That's what happens when you try and get a Scotsman to think too hard. But no, just congratulations to Mike, mate. It's brilliant to see you here on the league, and a brilliant result in the debut.
Cheers. Thank you.
You're welcome, mate. And moving on to P3, it must be said. I was trying to think of a fancy word to say it, but went out of my mind. That's what happens when you tell me to think too hard as well. But Bunnies, P3 momentarily. I'm not quite sure what will happen in reports, because not only you will get reported, but Steven's been reported too, so you never know. If you two could pick up a penalty, you both drop out of the podium. But yeah, P3 Bunnies, you had a ding-dong race there. You were up and down the field, and during that, what was it, second safety car, you stayed out there on all the tyres, didn't you? And you dropped down the order. Not dramatically, because I thought you'd be dropping down more than you would have. But staying out there on all the tyres, you fell down to at least 6th at one point until the last safety car came out. So talk us through your race, mate, because you had a difficult qualifying, it seems. I don't know where you started. You definitely started outside the top 10 for sure. But what happened between the qualifying and the race? Were you just better in the wets in general, mate?
Yeah, well, I mean, before I answer that, just big apologies to Steven for hitting him. That was a complete accident, and I'll accept whatever penalty comes my way. But yeah, the race was just. Well, I'm always better in the races than the qualifyings, for one thing. So that was a big help to begin with, and then it started raining, and I would say, yeah, generally I am better in the wet than in the dry. So that was a big help, and I really enjoy Hungary, so I was looking forward to the race. A bit disappointed with my qualifying, and then yeah, just pushed really hard throughout the race. Honestly, on that safety car where basically everyone except me pitted, I was just confused that they'd pitted. It it didn't even, for some reason, it didn't even cross my mind to pit because my inters felt completely fine. And then I went from being on like perfect tires to the worst tires of my life over that safety car period. And then I was just waiting for hopefully another safety car to come out. I knew the wets were faster, but I also knew that the rain was lightening up. So I was thinking I'd just stick on the inters for a bit. And then safety car came out, put on a fresh set of inters, and was extremely rapid again. And then hit someone. And that's when it all kind of went poorly again, because I got damage and then still managed to overtake Polish man, but I am well aware that I'm getting a penalty, and I don't, though I will obviously try to defend myself, I absolutely expect the penalty to come, and I do not blame the stewards if they give me one.
Well, it's nice to talk to you overall, because I think Steve could be getting a penalty too, due to making contact with somebody else. Not Rapid, it was somebody else during that race too. But that was such mighty pace though. It was a redemption drive after Saudi Arabia, after crashing out. Yeah, you can hear Steve side in the background, he knows. You can hear in Saudi Arabia you crashed in qualifying and in the race, but this time around you came back very strong in P3, although a penalty might be coming your way. So massive congratulations for your step up in pace and your driving too, because honestly, the driving, carving your way through the field on inters with Rapid, because you and Rapid were fighting with each other, and you both gained a lot of time and started making your way through other people. That was incredible to see you two making your way through the field. Then obviously turn 2, where Rapid made contact with Stevan, then you and Stevan were left alone to fight. All those safety cars came out, the wet period as well. It was just incredible, that race, the amount of things that happened. And at the end of it, where you and Stevan were fighting for P3, I bet it was very hard this race to make the right strategy call with all those different things going on in the race, with the safety cars, the change in weather too, and all the people pitting. How hard is it to make those decisions under pressure?
Sorry, this is a question still for me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was listening, but I wasn't sure who it was for. It can be difficult, especially when sometimes you're just a bit of an idiot and don't even think to pit. I mean, like, my engineer didn't suggest a pit stop on that second safety car. It didn't even cross my mind. And then everybody else did it. And I was talking to a guy in the party who I'm friends with. He doesn't race in this league, but I just started talking to him. I was like, wait, what's going on? Everyone else is pitting. And I couldn't understand it, but then it sort of hit me. I was like, oh shoot, I'm on worn inters. But it can be difficult, but you just have to try and think critically about both, especially in a wet race, about how your tires are doing at that moment, but also how you're expecting the weather to go throughout the rest of the race, and trying to prepare for that in a way.
Well, thank you very much for your input, Bunnies, and I'll see you on Thursday when you commentate alongside me. It's quite weird to do podium interviews with you, then commentate with you and do podium interviews in Tier 1 too, so that's quite weird. But yeah. Scott, you got any questions?
Thinking of questions.
You got any questions for Bunnies?
Again, not really a question, just more another congratulations, Bunnies. Of course, you've been with us for quite a little bit now, and it seems every time I watch you race, your pace just gets a little bit quicker. Of course, we've got a nice little mix of drivers that have raced in Tier 1, Tier 2 in previous seasons here, and Tier 3 this season. It's a very competitive grid, so despite there might be some action from the stewards, there might be some reports. That isn't the mark of a bad driver. These things happen in racing. Your pace has been tremendous, and the pace improvement alongside that has been brilliant to see. So just congratulations. Don't let anything that maybe comes out tonight don't let it stop your stride. Keep this going, and certainly could be one to watch as we progress through this season, Jamie.
Oh yeah, indeed. And then finally moving on to P4, which we never usually interview, but due to circumstances in that race, we might have to, just in case if anything changes, we can get a word from him rather than later in the next race in France. It is ILT Stevan, and Stevan, much better pace this time round than in Saudi Arabia, but you've been through a lot of things that race too, fighting with Polishman and Tobes and King Panda as well. You have been involved in a lot of things tonight with overtaking during that last safety car. Well, I want to talk to you through the whole race as well, so talk us through your race, babe, because I don't know where it began and what things happened with you in the middle of it as well, so just talk us through it.
Well, it's probably going to be a safety car or a P3 because I reported bunnies for spinning me out on lap 31. Of course, the race started dry, but then on the formation lap it already started raining. I told Nathan, who was in a party with me, I told him it was raining already. So yeah, that was quite tough. But I managed to take it out, just wait for the white particles to go on the track, and then make the decision to pit, which made me overcut Taupe and DC, or at least DC overtook me straight away, but I gained some time on them, and then the safety car came out. I was running in P2 comfortably, 7 seconds ahead, so would have made it to the end, but then the safety car came out again, and my tires were 40%, so easily pitted. Don't know why others stayed out, because yeah, fresh tires make such a difference. And then yeah, had the incident with Bunnies, which is just unfortunate. He broke his front wing, and then yeah, then I rejoined back Taupes, and then another car, and I just went down the inside. Was on the curb, maybe understeered a bit, but I've got every right to make that move. And yes, maybe it wasn't the cleanest of moves, I do admit, but I've seen a lot worse stuff not getting penalized in this league. And every time apparently I make contact with Taupes, he reported. So yeah, that sounds simply lovely, and I don't think he appreciates me overtaking him. So yeah. Just kidding. But anyway, yeah, solid race, way better than Jeddah, which was just embarrassing drive for myself. So I had to come out with a good performance, and it was certainly a lot better, despite the rain and the chaos.
Indeed, it was, mate. That was a phenomenal drive from you, because you were in that quite a lot. You had a lot of things. You had a lot of overtakes as well, overtaking people on older tyres. How was that, by the way, overtaking people on older tyres? And what about the contact with Rapid as well down at turn 2 on lap 15?
Yeah, he was just way too far behind, and yeah, hit my rear tire. I already stirred into the corner, and then he hit me on the rear. So yeah, it's unfortunate for him, but that was his fault. So he can report whatever he wants to, but there's nothing bad comes out of it. So yeah.
Probably no reason to report it either, because he finished P2 either way ahead of you, so there's probably no need to report it. But yeah, what part of the race was very difficult? Was it during the safety car making decisions and fighting people? Because I think you went 3 wide at one moment in turn 1.
Yeah, I did, and I went for a move down the inside, and I've got every right to make the move. Yes, it may have been unsteered a little bit, should have broke a bit more, but I was on the apex. My entire car was pretty much over the apex. So yeah, yes, it was maybe not the smartest thing to do. Nathan said that as well, but I've got every right to go for that move. And if I'm just gonna not sit back there and watch you guys overtake, because I want to get the podium. So yeah, that should not be a penalty. That shouldn't be a penalty.
Fair enough, mate. And what point in the race did you think you were going to get a podium as well? Because it looks a certainty that other people get a podium until they went on to the wrong tyres, like the wet compound tyres, because they only lasted about 5-6 laps until we had to go back on the inters. Well, they did anyways, but the rest of you had to survive it out.
When cars stayed out under the, I think it was first safety, or actually cars pitting for wets, because I was checking my engineer, and he constantly said like, oh, it's getting drier in 10 minutes, then 5 minutes. So I just had to brave it out, and they were never gonna gain a pit stop length over me, because I had quite good pace. Not as good as Indian G's, who was just insane today, especially from the back, and creating 2 10-second gap in 2 safety car periods is just really impressive. So he could have legit probably been 30 seconds clear if the safety cars didn't happen, because he was absolutely rapid today. But yeah, I just read conditions quite well. I'm Dutch for a reason, so yeah, just read conditions perfectly, and others need to follow in the foot tracks.
Well, thank you for that, mate. Nice to see you on the podium, Stevan. And how are you feeling for France, mate?
What a shy track. But yeah, we'll see. Turn 1 is horrendous. Traction is quite difficult, but if I just put in the work, then we'll see. Then I'll go through you with Topes again. Don't worry.
I just want to add real quick, Stevan, great race, great pace, by the way. I think you had the best pace behind me from all the guys, so I was really impressed by that. And after what we had last week with the incident, obviously great race from you.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was fun.
No,
That
but this week was really good from you, and I hope
Thank you.
to see more good racing next week.
Yeah, I apologize for that. That was not the way I want to be driving, where I just fully broke too late and just hit you off track. And thankfully we didn't meet today on track, and you put in a great performance, and yeah, you deserve that win massively. No denying that.
No, I fully get it. Last week was last week, and we just move on, I think.
Thank you, mate.
I didn't realise you were still here, did you? Thought you would have been long gone by now. But Scott, you got any questions for Stevan?
No real questions. Again, just more a comment. To me, you know, head admin, long-time driver of this league. It's crazy that a driver of Stefan's capabilities is down here in Tier 3. I'm not blowing my own trumpet when I'm in Tier 2 and saying, oh, well, you know, he's in Tier 3. But in my memory and in my mind, Stefan, you are a top quality driver. I still don't know how everybody else has got as quick to, you know, have you in this tier. But it is a brilliant thing to see on a Monday night, the likes of yourself out there racing. You showed some great pace tonight, and I'm just going to comment on that again from a head admin perspective. I love that little bit of camaraderie and banter. You know, last week was last week. We're here to race. We're here to have fun. That's what this is all about to me. So, no, a big shout out to yourself and, to, of course, Indian Jesus. And I'm looking forward to just seeing what the rest of this season has in store for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, mate. The league has just gotten so much faster, and I'm a crap driver by myself. I'm not any quick, to be honest. I might be an esports owner, where guys are 100 times faster than me, or cleaner, and know what they're doing. But I'm just here to have fun and yeah, do my thing, and then have some good battles. Also in LOE, and yeah, Cohen's just really good league to drive in. People are really nice to each other. So yeah, I have to admire you guys. The system you guys have is just really good to see, and yeah, it makes me hyped to race every single Monday. So yeah, appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much for racing with us every Monday, Stefan. And again,
Much love.
goes out to every driver on Tier 3 and Tier 4, including our lovely reserves, one of them in here with us at Bunnies, of course. But Jamie, that's all from me, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm full time.
Oh, you're full time, aren't you? Yeah, sorry, I'm getting you mixed up with Rapid. Sorry. See, that much going in my head, I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, I think my head was spinning to that after all those strategy calls and different things going in the race. But yeah, we're going to round it off here. Then we're going to round off the Tier 3 stream at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Join us back next time for Tier 1 with me and Bunnies on commentary for the Hungarian Grand Prix for Tier 1 after Saudi Arabia. And join us back for Tier 3 at 7:30, I believe it is, at the French GP next week on Monday too, alongside me and Scott Freefall. But for now, it's goodbye for all of us, and check out the Tier 4 stream with ILT Leroy, ILT Antonio, and rotation commentators after Leroy's illness, unfortunately. So we'll see you all next time. Congrats to the top 3 and Stevan too in P4. Thank you so much, Freefall, for commentating with me as always. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you back with this good duo we're having.
The dream team, mate. The absolute dream team back together. Yeah. Couldn't have picked it any better myself. And just on that Tier 4 race, they're currently on lap 32, a late safety car. Get yourself in that stream to see who wins. It's going to be all up in the air, and it's anybody's race. But Jamie, thank you very much for having me, and we'll see you next Monday.
Yeah, see you next Thursday, Tier 1, and see you next Monday, Tier 3 as well. Goodbye for now, and take care. Have a good evening.